welcome Dr. Dave Greenberg, who is back to talk to us about this time of year and the bugs that are out there. I love this time of year, so I don't complain about much.
Okay.
But I think people need some information on things like mosquitoes and black flies, and the bees are all out. If you have an allergy, it's a scary time. So let's just start with the mosquitoes. How come some people react more than others?
It probably has a lot to do with the reason why everybody reacts differently to everything. Right? Certain people have developed different immune responses and they get, itchier or sweat. The odd times people get infected, and not so much with mosquito bites necessarily, but it does happen as well, and that's something people have to be aware of.
Yeah.
So if you have a mosquito bite that behaves like a regular mosquito bite, which is itchy for a day or so and what have you.
You're making me itchy right now for
yeah,
no good
no,
reason.
It's funny, yeah.
You just say mosquitoes
if I said
feel,
lice, you'd start scratching your head, right? So, but you get these ones where, actually just happened the other day, I was at the hospital and one of the nurses was standing there and she had this bite on her arm and I said, "What's that?" And she said, "Well, I just got a bite." But it wasn't a bite. You could see that it had gotten quite red and it was swelling. And I said to her, I said, "You need to do something about that right now." And she said, "Well, I'll go tomorrow." And I said, No. We need to do something about that right now because you can develop what they call cellulitis, which is a skin infection, and that needs to be addressed immediately. So if you do see sort of redness and swelling and it continues to grow, it can grow quite quickly, and you might actually, if you don't address it quickly enough, you might wind up on intravenous antibiotics.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, no, I see that 4 or 5 times a year. Somebody comes in, it's like, yeah, I thought it was going to get better, and it just kept getting bigger.
Okay, so if it's growing, go see your doctor.
Oh, and another thing is, if you're concerned about, if you're not sure if it's growing or not, take a Sharpie and draw a circle around it. And if it goes beyond the margin, because that's what doctors do.
Oh, okay.
If it goes beyond the margins of the circle, you should definitely seek some medical attention.
Okay, you need some antibiotics for that.
Likely.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
very likely.
What can you do to alleviate the itch? Because we're not supposed to scratch, we're not supposed to itch.
Correct. So antihistamines, generally speaking, are the best way to alleviate any sort of itchiness.
Okay.
And what people often don't realize is that there are two classes of antihistamines. We have some examples here. There's some drowsing ones and some non-drowsing ones.
Yeah.
And it's important with everything in medicine to take advantage of the side effects whenever possible.
Do it at night.
Correct. So don't take the drowsing ones during the daytime.
Right.
And don't take the non-drowsy ones at bedtime. Some people, every once in a while, you get somebody that has one of these reactions that's sort of the opposite of what you would expect. So you give them a non-drowsing one and it makes them sleepy, or vice versa. So, but having said that, in general, you can be pretty sure that it's going to work the way it's supposed to work. And especially with little kids, you want to give them the drowsing one at bedtime because you want them to be able to sleep and not be up all night scratching. But you don't want to send them to school in the morning half drugged because they're all dopey from the drowsy ones.
Right. Okay. And then for babies, there's not much you can do.
No,
is there?
but babies shouldn't be getting mosquito bites, right?
No.
Because we have to
be.
We try, but we have to.
We can.
Right. So up until 6 months, right? We haven't talked about sunscreen, but no sunscreen, no mosquito repellent. What we had for our kids, and I know they must exist still, is these nets that block both UV and flying insects.
Okay.
So you put them in the car seat and you take this net and put it right over the whole thing. So it acts as mosquito netting and as sunscreen, and that way they probably won't get bitten.
Okay, good call. Black flies.
Yeah.
The bites can be really painful.
Yes, they certainly can.
I've actually never been bitten by a black fly,
Okay.
So I should knock on something. I don't want to be bit by a black fly, but
I think a lot of it depends on where you hang out in the summertime. In the city of Toronto, you don't get a lot of black flies, but anybody that has a cottage anywhere north of here, and I'm sure there's lots of people watching across the country that know exactly what black fly bites are like, and they're horrible, and they hurt like crazy. So you have to be aware of that. And again, my thing is, if you want to put something topically on it, you're much better off treating pain with something by mouth, right?
Okay.
So an appropriate dose of Tylenol-like drug or an appropriate dose of ibuprofen or something like that is always a really, really good thing to start with. If you get some swelling, you might want to try putting a little ice on it for 20 minutes or so and see if that makes any difference, because it'll certainly numb it as well as keep the swelling down. So that's not a bad idea.
Do they itch at all, black fly bites, or do they just hurt?
They sort of both. Sort of both.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
but it's the pain, I think, that gets your attention first, unlike mosquito bites where the itchiness gets your attention first.
Okay, now horsefly bites versus black fly bites, what is the difference?
Well, the difference is that I'm not an entomologist and I don't know much about the difference. All I know is that horseflies are really big and black flies are relatively small.
Okay.
And the black fly bites seem to be a little more dangerous and hurt a lot more than those. So for the people that are watching this, common things being common, the black fly thing will make a difference. On some level, it's a little bit like worrying whether you got run over by a truck or a bus. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that
You're
much.
run over.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you need to worry about. Okay, let's talk about some other common summer complaints. Sunburns. I know we're supposed to wear sunscreen,
Yes.
and you know
And
you've got to
everybody
be
gets
so
burned anyway.
vigilant. But sometimes you're out there, baseball tournament, you haven't been reapplying.
Right.
What is the best way to deal with sunburn?
I think that, well, first of all, there are degrees of sunburns, right? So there's a simple sunburn, and then you can get second-degree burns from sunburns, which is where you get blistering and so on. So you have to
Yeah.
watch out for that. But the main thing is to put something, that one I think it's okay to put something on. So people, the two things that people seem to use are aloe
Yeah.
and vitamin E. And there are actually, if you go to the pharmacy, you can get both of them in one mixture.
Right.
The thing that I would avoid is anything that ends in cane.
Okay.
So solar cane, I don't want to diss anybody's products, but those canes, people can have reactions to those in and of itself. It's fairly common to have a sensitivity to those things. So what will happen is oftentimes people put those on a sunburn and it gets redder and worse, and it's not because the sunburn's getting worse, it's because you're actually having a reaction to the local anesthetic that's in these things, and that's why you have to worry about it. So look at the label, and if it says anything that ends in C-A-I-N-E, probably best to
Stay
avoid
away. Okay. Make sure you put on a lot of sunscreen.
And sunscreen,
reapply
and reapply. Remember that the
constantly.
number has to do with how strong it is, but it also has to do with how long you have to go between applications. So that's part of the key.
All right, Dr. Dave, thank you.